What's going on, everyone? Good morning. Happy Sunday. It is Bitcast time. Bitcast 171. I'm your host, Ainsley Bowden. We've got my partners in crime, Mr. Dan Rodriguez, looking wise this morning. How are you?
That's a misnomer. I am not wise. I am. I don't know what I'm pulling off there, or how. You know what? Yesterday, my dog jumped on top of me, and my wife thought it was adorable, and so she took a picture of it. But she took it from the back side, like I was sitting in my recliner. I did not realize how much of a giant bald spot. I look like a reverse fryer. Like it's completely it's not all the way gone. Oh, can you see this? This thing. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh,
reverse fryer.
A reverse fryer.
It really kind of ruined my mood for the rest of the weekend. I was like, what is that? I never see the back of my, because normally I shave it all off, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I was like, so this is where I'm at.
Once you start shaving regularly and then you try to let it grow, you're like, okay, this was a mistake. I'm just going to go ahead and keep shaving.
Humongous.
I'll probably be in your guys' club in a few years. I got the hairline here.
Yeah,
it happens quick.
Yeah, no idea, but otherwise, yeah, doing pretty good.
Nice, man. My other partner in crime over here, Mr. Tie Guy Travis. How are you, sir?
McClunky. How are you guys doing? Nice to hear.
Very well. I heard you were up very late and are barely functioning at this point in the morning. But
no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm young-ish. I can still have 3 hours.
Oh my gosh!
I'm telling you, I know. And bringing in the sexy for this morning. And speaking of young, this youngin over here.
Oh yeah, and rested. He got his beauty sleep and everything.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Bringing some culture to the show. Our friend from the Backlog Chronicles, Mr. Jordan. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing fine. I'm prim and pampered all ready for today. Thanks for having me on, dude.
Of course. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one today, man. Good morning, everyone in the chat. Good to see everyone. Actually, not a lot of game news this week. So anyone listening to this, it's gonna, we're gonna talk a lot about Game of the Year race. We're gonna talk a lot about Deathloop. We're gonna talk about what's coming, a few delays, and a few other things. But yeah, in terms of actual new game news, pretty light this week. So we'll just have a fun conversation about games. Go figure. I mean, if you'd like, we could do an hour and a half on acquisitions. I hear that's all the rage, but no. In fact, I don't even
saying that. I have no idea what anybody's talking about.
I heard a conversation in a McDonald's bathroom that I think we should all discuss.
Online. I agree with you. And then you need to make 3 YouTube videos with very similar thumbnails just to make sure you get the point across.
Can I look shocked and have an explosion behind me? Is that at all possible? Yeah.
I mean, if you want to get all the hits, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, all right. Jordan, you were recently, I wanted to call out before we get into currently playing, you were recently spotlighted, sir, as the Xbox MVP and ambassador. Look at this guy.
Yeah. It was a community. So they have this division of the Xbox ambassador program. They call it the community champions. And they're kind of like a subset of the group that focuses on, I guess, a core 4 tenets of it, which is like feedback, creation, and I forget the other 2, honestly.
How were you spotlighted, sir?
So much for champion.
Right. Basically, one of the official ambassador crew guys reached out to me, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna nominate you, or someone nominated you, so we want to answer some of these questions here." And essentially, I was like, "Yeah, of course, I'd like to." But yeah, it was cool. I honestly haven't been in touch with those guys too often, so I felt a little bit guilty about them reaching out to me, but they're more than happy to do it. So I was honored to be spotlighted. Yeah.
Nominated because you repeatedly told people how to reset their Xbox Live passwords?
Basically. That's kind of how it started, Travis. Yeah. Now it's kind of evolved into more of a just kind of being a nice person on.
Now it's a turn it on, turn it off, turn it back on type thing.
Yes.
That's the next level.
Yes.
Oh man, well that's awesome, man. No, it was very coul to see. I know we shared it around our socials, of course, so that was cool.
Yeah, guys.
All right. So what have we been playing, guys? I'll wait to hear from you, Travis. You said you were just reviewing a game for IGN, Sable, which I know actually is one that quite a few people are looking forward to. It kind of caught the eye in some shows, several months ago, and I know it's coming to Game Pass next week, right?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. How is it?
It is a very well conceived game with an awesome art style that has it is just riddled with bugs.
Oh.
Unfortunately, yeah,
That sucks.
that's a big one.
I was waiting for the
Waiting for the
punchline.
butt.
Just riddled with them. Just like turn off the game a million times and things not working. And I had like 4 hours, which is funny. It's probably going to end up in my footage for the video review. Like 4 hours where I couldn't tell how much money I had. Like the number stayed the same, and then every time I spent money, it would just say negative above it, and it stayed on my screen the whole time. So you could just see all this like nonsense on the right hand side. And bushes, when they blow, sometimes they'll like blow. Like pieces of the bushes will blow like across the screen and then bounce back.
Oh,
like,
they'll just
like
keep going.
this.
Okay.
It just looks like abstract art,
Oh,
like some bizarre
wow.
stuff. So I don't know how much they'll fix in the day one patch, but yeah, my initial thought was that it's a very interesting idea for a game. Like the basically, for those who don't know of it, the concept is that you live in a nomadic society where you sort of you when you come of age, you're basically abandoned, and you have to go on this thing called the gliding, which is like a solo journey where you figure out who you are. And basically the entire game is your family leaves, and then you get to go around and like just experience the world.
Are you Amish?
You're kind of right. Like, it's actually the opposite of Amish. They all ride like motorcycles. So
okay.
I don't know if that, but it's sort of like a I think I'm probably going to use this line in my review. It's sort of like a sci-fi bar mitzvah of kinds. You go around, and basically the game ends once you find out what you want to do in life. And so at any point, the game could be a couple hours long. If you go around and you decide like, oh, like I'm meeting like these mechanics, I really like them, I'm going to be a mechanic, then you can just go back and you do like a ceremony where you don the mask. On everybody in the game wears masks. That's just part of the universe. You don the mask that's going to decide who you are in the future. Or you can do the opposite of that, which is where you like go around, you just spend a lot of time and like getting all the masks. And it's kind of hard to explain, but it's a game that doesn't have any combat, and you can't die in it. And you sort of just walk around and like learn the world, and you help people and meet people. And yet, even though you can't die and there's no combat, it's sort of like a fun game to play. Like I don't know. I can't really explain it. It's just one of those things you kind of have to experience, kind of like Journey or something of that nature. But it's cool. It would be a great game if it didn't have so many damn bugs. But yeah, I had a good time with it. I just finished it yesterday.
Okay.
That's the hard thing about reviewing, especially for a big outlet like you, where you get codes. You're one of the first to get codes typically, right? Obviously, because there can be multiple updates before release, including a day one release, which sometimes come within hours of the game going live, which kind of sucks because you don't know how it differentiates. That
said, a lot of games, when they send out review codes, they tell you which bugs they know are in the build and will be patched on day one. And I can just already tell you based on how many bugs there are, and the day one patch isn't going to fix all of them, like for sure. Like
it's a Battlefield situation. Okay. Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, they're an indie studio. I hate to say this because they pour their heart into it. The team's probably small, but like it is what it is. Like the game has a ton of bugs, and they do impact your experience in my playthrough anyway. So
yeah.
But it's a fun game.
You always want to see an indie studio like that get recognition, and you want to appreciate their work. But I mean, at the same time, you still have to call a spade, and let's not make the mistake. Like, they know the bugs are there. They're not naive to the fact that those things need to be fixed.
For sure.
They just run out of time, obviously. So, well, cool, man. Or I said Mo. Dan, you want to hit the super chat real quick?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, it is from Mo with the $4.99 super chat. Happy Sunday, everyone. Jordan has Thanksgiving dinner at Phil Spencer's house yearly. Hence why he was spotlighted. And that makes sense.
And why he knows about all those acquisitions.
That's it.
I
told him
that's like the theme of the Thanksgiving dinner. Like, everybody like cuts into their turkey, and like all these acquisition studios just pop out.
That's it.
Man.
Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome.
Jordan brings the cranberry sauce, and they talk acquisition for 4 hours. That's it.
Yeah. He loves ocean spray. I'm just saying.
Thanks, Mo. Good to see you this morning, dude. Speaking of, as you were describing Sable with like no combat and kind of being this experience, I've been playing Artful Escape, which I know quite a few people have been playing as well, and if you thought like Psychonauts was an acid trip, man, this game is on another level. Like it's bizarre. There's no combat. You kind of just go to the side, you jump here and there, and you pretty much just shred on a guitar endlessly as you're running along. And you like go to this cosmic universe and meet all these ridiculous creatures and lots of colors.
So many.
Yeah, so many colors. And it's just it's a hell of an experience. Now it has some kind of culture references along with some kind of mental health aspects as well, which we see out of a lot of these indie games. It'll be Dan's favorite thing in the world, I'm sure. But it's really well done, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's one of those games that anyone can play. You can pick up and play. It's not hard. It's like you basically jump and push one button, and at the end of every level, it's literally a game assignment. Like you have to match the buttons that the guy's playing on your guitar, and then that's it. And you move on. But it is beautiful, and I know a lot of people are really liking it. So yeah, I would check it out.
Cool.
What have you guys been up to, Jordan? You play anything? Well, you're playing Deathloop. I know we're going to get to. You play anything else other than Deathloop?
I am. One of the games I'm actually playing came into Game Pass the other day. It's Superliminal. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one.
No.
Really freaking cool. So it's a first-person puzzle game. The kind of core concept is that you're part of a dream therapy group, and all the puzzles are based off of like forced perspective. So if you pick up an object and kind of walk away from it, it'll shrink down in size, and if you walk towards it, it'll get really large. So I'm very early in the game, but you can pick up all these like most of the interactors right now are like blocks or chess pieces, and they're just like towering by the time you keep messing with it. But it's very mind bending, man, and it's super awesome so far. I don't know. This game came out, I guess, about 2 years ago or so, but it's freaking awesome. I highly recommend it. If you guys like Portal or any sort of first person puzzlers, you got to check this out. It is on Game Pass. The other one I messed out. Yeah, but not as dumb as The Witness though. Witness is.
I love that game. So.
Do you really? No.
We're
not going to talk about that today. Not going to talk about it.
Oh, is this what I'm going to do this week? That's going to draw us into
this
a
is
long
it.
debate.
This is it. There you go.
We don't like puzzle games. You have to figure it out for yourself.
No,
I like good puzzle games.
Yeah, Witness was just, I don't know. Yeah, it didn't do much for me. I did finish it. I have every achievement but one. I mean, I did play the whole thing, but it just,
But you use guides.
It's a tough game. It's very tough.
I did use a guide for some of the puzzles. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, I banged my head against the wall, and it was not fun for some of it. But when you beat it, man, it's like Dark Souls. You get that like feeling like, oh, I did it, man.
I really, really doubt it.
You know what? No, you really do.
Dan's like, I've been playing it for 6 years. I'm still yet to get that feeling.
Play with the volume on. That's what I learned during one part because I was playing with the volume off for a while. That was a huge mistake for one of those puzzles.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other game I'm checking out, and Travis is familiar with this one. It's I Am Fish. Yeah,
I've been reading my reviews.
Yes,
How you liking it so far?
It's cool. I actually started it on a whim. I had some friends over yesterday, and they're like, "I'm going to download this game." I'm like, "What is this?" I'm in Fish. I'm like, "Oh, I'm familiar with this one." And yeah, it's actually kind of cool. It's pretty charming. Cool. I was wondering. I was like, "Why are there so many cutscenes going on right now? Are you going to start playing this game or what?" But yeah, you're rolling a fish in a fish globe or a mop bucket or a mason jar.
Yep.
The puffer fish levels are pretty cool. I will say that, Travis.
Yeah.
But yes, it is. There are moments where it is blisteringly difficult, and I found myself just sinking. I'm like, why am I still playing this game? And it's like, an hour and a half has gone by, and I'm still playing this level.
It's sort of addictive. Yeah,
it is.
It like ticks you off, but in kind of a good way. And
yes,
the longer you go though, like near the end of the game, I was just like, dude, they are like pushing the limits of like how much I am willing to get through this, but it's fun and it's got a good ending. It's got a good story. It kind of reminds me of like a Pixar movie.
Sure.
Obviously, a lot simpler and technically challenged.
Right. I'm enjoying a whole lot more than I thought I would, and that's just power to Game Pass for having these cool little games I never would have actually picked up on my own.
Absolutely. And I think I Am Bread is on there too, which is in the same cinematic universe as
the I Am You.
Yes.
Yeah.
Opening.
No, actually they built out like story elements that incorporate the two. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. And Surgeon Simulator, another one of their games.
Yes. The opening cutscene shows like the bread and it's like shaking, and I guess like the fish or something like that.
Yeah, that's how the fish gain sentience. Apparently now I'm going to become like a chronicler of this I am bred gaming.
That's a good idea, Travis.
This is going to be your next Fast and Furious thing.
That's it.
You're going to go all in on it.
I'm going to start editing the Wikipedia for this as well. That's right.
Let's go.
The extended universe of bread.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. For those who don't get the reference, off camera this week, I was teaching Ains the beauty of the Fast and Furious universe and all of its lore and
beauty is a strong word.
Oh,
Very strong word.
And it's not strong enough. I don't know if they've invented a word strong enough to describe Fast and Furious.
Family.
I got you, Travis. I love the Fast movies, and I'm a car guy myself.
Oh my God! Don't you start.
I've never
Not
even
just in
heard
video games.
lore and Fast and Furious used in the same sentence.
Oh, there's so much lore. Oh my God, there's so much lore. This whole show could be about the lore of Fast and Furious. I swear to God.
Moving on.
Boo.
Wow.
You guys were talking about I Am Fish and those games. So there were like 8 indie games dropped on Game Pass this week, which I need to go through and checking them all out because there's so many. But Dan, you been playing anything else, man?
Just basically Deathloop. I jump on everything, Hitman, of course. I got to go back and do the targets and stuff like that. But
your homework.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
It literally feels like homework when you talk about it every week. Is there any point in doing it?
Well, it's just it's just progression stuff. I mean, I just like getting on there. Like they have elusive targets every like 2 or 3 times a month. And there's special cases where it takes me a long time because I try to figure out how to do it the fastest way. It's just more of a challenge for me at this point. So, but they're kind of releasing old ones at the same, like they'll do an old elusive target from like Hitman 2 and then also release a new one with one of the new maps is what they've been doing basically monthly. It's kind of cheating and lazy, but at the same time, I missed out on a bunch of them from Hitman 2, so it's kind of nice to get back and get them. So, and then, just Deathloop, basically. It's pretty much consumed every minute of my gaming time this week.
Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and get into it? We have the official title, by the way, Travis, the BEU, the Bread Extended Universe. So that's what we're going to refer to it as.
I called it the BGU in my review, actually, Bread Gaming Universe.
Okay.
Either works.
And to answer the question in the comments, yes, I Am Fish does have lore. Bizarrely, it has lore. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a lore master myself, so games got to respect game.
Oh my God, Elo! It's too early for these types of puns, man. It's too early.
Oh my goodness,
it's too early. Beastman says I'm gonna have nightmares about Fast and Furious lore.
It's not nightmares; it's a dream.
Those are dreams. Yes,
dream come true.
Yeah, hopefully you'll wake up soon.
Live action.
Let's move on to the core of our discussion. So yes, Deathloop is out. I mentioned to you guys last week, just before release, that it was beautiful. So my review's up. I gave it a 9. Funny enough, I gave it a 9 and I was really confident in that score. And then I looked at the meta and everything afterwards because I got my review out right when kind of everyone else did. And I was like, IGN gave it a 10 and GameSpot gave it a 10 and a bunch of other sites gave it really
You're on
high
the critical side.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, I adore the game. I don't know if it's 10, but it's neither here nor there. The general consensus is this is a fantastic game. It's now one of the leaders in the Game of the Year discussion. It's one of the highest rated games of the year. And
I think whether it's a 10 depends on what your 10 means on your site. I don't know what your 10 is. If it's like perfect, then maybe not. But at IGN, it's masterpiece. And I would say, it kind of. Yeah, I mean, does Arkane have a masterpiece? If not this game,
Prey. Yeah,
Prey is their masterpiece.
That's so good.
Over Dishonored 2.
I mean, Dishonored 2. I mean, it would probably be up there too. Yeah.
I don't know.
No Prey.
Well, that's kind of what we're going to talk about, right? Is Arkane in general. But no, I agree with you completely. Yeah, and our 10, we are a little different. Our 10 is historic, meaning it actually fundamentally did something new or will be copied in the industry. And this could maybe be up there somewhere, but we're super rare on those. Like I said, I think I've said before, we've only given 2 10s ever, and that was God of War and Red Dead 2. Since we're obviously not a real old site, but
good games,
good games. This guy.
I agree with the Red Dead review.
Well, then you're okay in my book. All right. So,
That's good.
So Deathloop. Obviously, I've played a ton. I went zombie mode last weekend to review it.
You did.
And so, it's stupid. Jordan was telling me there was a journalist somewhere complaining that they only had 5 days to review it. I was like, I had 2, motherfucker. I had 2. All right. Okay. And I reviewed it and finished it in 2 days. So I think I've got over 40 hours in it now, and I haven't even played it in a few days. I had 40 hours in like the first 3 or 4 days. But anyway, fantastic game. Jordan, I know you've been adoring it. Dan, I know you've been playing the hell out of it as well. So, you know what I gave it? I gave it a 9. Really loved it. I've talked to you guys endlessly about it. Jordan, give us your kind of overall thoughts on it, man.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. You know, hearing you talk about it early last week had me like just jonesing just to play it, and so far it's really been everything that I expected and wanted it to be. It's probably exceeded that a little bit in some areas. I think this is probably Arcane's most accessible game, and maybe their most fun one too, just because of the fact that it takes a lot of those elements from those previous games, Dishonored especially, that a lot of people may be familiar with in terms of just all the special superpower, the abilities and everything. And because you don't have to focus on looking for like consumables to use those abilities, you're just free to use them as often as you want, you know, barring, you know, you have enough power in your meter. So yeah, they just want you to experiment when you play this game, and you have opportunities to do that basically every minute. Time loop stuff, I'm a sucker for that. You know, as some of you guys may already know. And I just think the way they do the storytelling in here is just very, very, very interesting, and it's really well done too. Production is fantastic. I love the voiceover. Colt and Juliana are hilarious. Like every intro when you come to the tunnels is just some sort of quick one-liner or banter. Yeah, man. I honestly, it's just so much fun. I played maybe 2 hours of it last night. I was messing around with the Protect the Loop, and I was actually getting my butt kicked a lot. Initially, I was killing Colt left and right, but now I'm getting gimped a lot. I don't know what it is, but you know, there's not.
You're pretty weak as Juliana when you invade someone else's game.
You are, and you have to kind of keep hopefully kind of succeeding until you can build yourself up to be more of a threat to them. But you can play very cat and mouse esque in those sequences. But if Colt like knows where you are, he's gonna come after you like hard. Because the enemy AI isn't super effective. Yep. So they're not that helpful for you in most instances. But
no, they're more of like an identifier of where someone is. Really,
correct.
That's about it.
Correct. I think like the biggest detractor for me is mostly in that mode or in those instances where you are doing PvP is just because it's P2P servers and the netcode isn't the best. So there's a little bit of like hitch and jank. So it's kind of hard to hit your targets or even like have a reliable hit detection when you're trying to shoot either Colt or Juliana. But aside from that, yeah, man, it's a fantastic freaking game.
Yeah,
it really
is. So, good morning, man. Good of you to make it this week. I think the mechanics will be copied by other game designs. It's a new standard in game design. And I think a lot of the reviews called that out because it's like, I think I wrote in my review, like it has all the brilliance of prior Arcane games. Like the level design I don't even know how Arcane designs levels to be navigated the way that they do. Like literally every other developer needs to take notes. Because it's just incredible. And then how they unravel the story as you progress through the days, and the way it presents itself and kind of just slowly unfolds is incredible. It's one of my favorite aspects of the game, honestly. And you're right, the Colt brings the voice actor of Colt brings him to life like right away. Right away, you're kind of like endeared to Colt, and he's a great character, and it's just it's amazing. It really is. Mm-hmm. Dan, I know you were struggling with a couple of the aspects, but you seem to be enjoying it. Where are you at on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really good. I mean, I love Arcane games, so I mean, I wasn't gonna, like I said initially, I was a little bit hesitant only because of the roguelike mechanics possibly popping up, but
so good.
They're really not. This plays more like a single player game that. It's actually way more linear, I think, than people really call it out to be. It's because I don't think any four of us play it. We're all going to pretty much go through the same thing. I'm assuming, but I'm not at the end though, so I can't speak on what the ending is, but up until this point, I feel like it's like, okay, go do this. All right, now wait until this is, then you got to go to this area and do this. And then you're eventually trying to get, everything in one shot is basically what I'm assuming is what's happening. So, it's I don't know. I love it, but I'm really like, there's no consequence, I guess, for restarting that loop over and over and over and over again if you want to. Like, aside from losing some stuff maybe that you can't infuse, but short of that, I mean, and after a certain amount of time, you can basically infuse anything you want.
Yeah,
and got stuff left over.
But I thought that would be an aspect you like, because part of what you dislike about roguelikes is having to do stuff over again and losing.
Well, no, it seems super easy. Like, there's got to be a middle ground. It is. It's not that. Like, okay, if you want to start.
No, but I'm only laughing, Dan, because you always complain about how hard games are, and now you're literally complaining this game's too easy.
Listen, it is easy, especially after you get to a certain point, because you become overpowered. Because after you start infusing all this stuff.
But that's the point of the story.
Travis.
No. I understand what you're saying. I haven't finished the story, so I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, and maybe I'm just not as far in as you guys are.
Are you playing with online enabled?
Of course not.
Don't complain about the difficulty. We gave you an option to make it harder.
You said,
I don't want it.
You're even weaker.
I'm turning that off.
No. The person who invades is weaker. You can kill them in like 2 or 3 shots.
I know, but you can make the game harder.
No. I'm telling Dan, if he played online, like if a real person invades his game, that real person is weaker. They're easier to kill.
The AI, Juliana.
They may be smarter, right? Because they're a real person,
right.
But they take less shots to kill.
Okay. Right. Yeah, so it actually would be easier if I put it online.
Well, it depends on how good the player is.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, what are you afraid of, Dan? Why don't you give it a try?
Because I hate people generally. I'm not playing.
I thought you hated how easy the game was.
Listen to me.
Oh man,
we're getting into is it easier? Is it harder? I have no clue because I haven't done it, and I'm never going to. The other thing that pisses me off is that I can't.
Well, you know what I like?
Any other
arguing
suit.
from a position of ignorance. That's
so the
suits.
Thing. The suits. Most
I can only unlock them if I play as Juliana.
They most of them are unlocked through the other mode. Yes,
correct.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a first-person game. It doesn't really matter what I'm wearing. So, but I was trying to figure out how to unlock those. I was like, I don't understand what's happening. I still struggle with like the codes. Like, where are all these codes? Like, I feel like I need to go through one. Like, there's 4 levels basically, right? So you've got. I feel like I need to go through each level one time during a loop. Like, just focus, and no matter what's going on in it, and just explore the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And that way I can kind of get everything. Like, I'll go to the complex and I'll just do morning through evening and just do that, and then come back to the next loop. And then maybe I can start, because I feel like there's so much I'm missing just from the unlockables and stuff. I think.
So so not to interrupt you, Dan, but they have the one thing it does to help you is it has those 2 main menus, which are your visionaries, right? All 8 of those, and you can track those individually. And then it has the arsenal ones, which are all the slabs and all the legendary weapons. And you can track all those individually, and it tells you what time of day you need to go and where you need to go and that kind of stuff. But there's also a whole bunch of hidden side missions as well that you can discover on your own that aren't in the menus.
That's what I'm looking for now. And that's why I think it's taking me so long, is because, like, it's one of those things where I probably shouldn't have played it like I did, but anytime I get into an Arcane game, I'm going to look for every single nook and cranny and every single level and try to find everything. But it really doesn't help you, especially in like the 2 or 3 hour prologue or whatever it is. Yeah. It doesn't, it does you no good until you really start like infusing stuff, until you start getting some of the bigger weapons and stuff. And now it's changed the way I play it, based on, and that's cool. It's changed the way I can play through a level. My problem again is I have a really hard time remembering, like, because it's always the same, right? Like, you go to let's say you go to the complex in the evening, the enemies are all going to be in the same place. It's, generally, unless you did something prior to make it different. But if you just go straight through it, so I still don't remember half the time where all these guys are. So it's cool in that regard. That's kind of a fresh, take on. I mean, I like that mechanic. I just think that they could have made it. They could have given you. And if I'm saying this, this is how bad it is. If I'm saying that this is too easy, we've got issues. All right, so we need to come in and they need to penalize you. Like, okay, because at this point I'm just like, well, I can just keep doing this over and over and over again. Maybe there's three things on one.
It's almost like a loop.
Oh,
yeah. I thought you could, it would make it a little bit harder. There's something else happening that I don't know yet because I'm not that far into the story, and I don't know what it is. So like, there's something with Juliana and Colt that's going on that's allowing them to do some of these things. So I don't know what that is, but that somehow I feel like is going to either hit me really, really fast, and then all of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh crap, and then it's gonna end, and I'm gonna be pissed because or something like that.
So you're half right. There are twists coming,
right?
But it's not gonna ruin the game for you. I think the game, and I saw other people complaining about the AI, and I'm like, well, the problem is that the foundation of the story of this game contributes to the AI. This is an island where they've discovered that they can live in an endless loop, right, and never die.
Right.
And so everyone there is completely careless. They're just these careless, mindless people who are like, it doesn't matter. There's actually one scene where they literally kill themselves for fun, because they know they're just going to wake up the next day again.
Yep.
And so that's the foundation for all the outside of the visionaries. Foundation for all the characters in the game is they're just there partying, having fun, and they don't care about anything. That's why they're basically like fodder. So there is a foundation in the story for the normal characters themselves. In terms of the difficulty, first of all, I found the conversation hilarious that you're asking for the game to be more difficult. But we'll clip that.
Bad news.
We'll clip it and save that for later.
But it should be bad.
But
Dan's like, oh, this game's too easy. This game is too easy.
But the thing is, it's not. One sec, Travis. Sorry, it's not a single player linear game where you're facing a challenge. Most of this game is a puzzle game, and so you're trying to piece together the puzzle to finish the whole loop, as we already talked about, and everyone knows, right?
Right.
I think that's the core of the game, not trying to run through a story and it being a challenge.
I guess. I don't know how to respond to that because it's your puzzle is going to be the exact same puzzle that I have, so it's really not a puzzle when they basically give you the next piece to put into it. You know what I mean? You've got
I don't, because every puzzle game is the same as anyone else playing.
Well, I'm just saying.
You have to figure it out.
If this game had like 4 or 5 different endings, which I don't know, maybe it does, maybe something different. But okay, so it has one ending. So I'm just saying, you're given those pieces as you go along. So it's less. I think it's more of a narrative.
It is
thing than it is more of like figuring out what's next, because they basically tell you what's next.
Yeah, it's like, more of a mystery that you uncover.
Right. Yeah. So it's a story, which is good, and it's super engrossing so far, and I really like it. I really like the characters, the visionaries. Most of them are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I really there's I like how they're very, very different from each other.
Yes, they are.
And they have these their own individual stories why they're on this island or whatever it is. And that's really cool. I would say, this is a 8.5 game for me, I guess. That's probably where I'm about right now. But
you haven't finished the game, you can't give it a score.
I haven't finished the game. If I was to stop right now, that's what I would say. But otherwise, it's Arcane, man. It's so good, because it's an Arcane game. You can really, really. You can taste the Dishonored in it. It's really, really heavily influenced by it, and that's great. Because that game was one of my favorites. Yeah. So I'm enjoying the game. I just think that I don't know if it's a 10, man. It's one of those things where it's like, man, you guys gotta pull back a little bit, IGN. Sorry, Travis. Or GameSpot or whatever the hell.
Travis doesn't own that review.
I know. I don't want to insult your contemporaries. I'm just saying.
Contemporary. Can we say peer? Maybe not contemporary.
Whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, I'm dying. I'm literally gonna die on this.
Contemporaries. I love that.
So oh no, what? Gosh, I'm glad that was empty. All right. Anyway, great game. I'm enjoying it. That's the bottom line. I do have some gripes.
Okay.
Really?
So yeah, Travis, you've been waiting to speak for like 5 minutes, and we have like 20 comments, which are funny too. So, Travis, what were you going to say, man?
You know, since you called out my contemporaries, I'm gonna try to not go too hard on this guy, but I find it very interesting. You know what? I'll just leave it at this, Dan. I'll make one observation, and then I'll let the viewers kind of decide what to think. But I find it fascinating that you're having so much trouble with this game you find too easy. That's all I have to say, really.
Okay, hold on, wait a minute. Now, to be fair, the reason I texted
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Wait, let me explain to you why I'm having trouble with it. I never said that. The problem I was having was that it throws you so much information so quickly within like the first even hour or two that it's super hard to like. I mean, yeah, you can go back. You pretty much, I had to go back and look at some of the tutorials and stuff that they had. It just throws everything at you at one time, and it almost has to, because I understand that, because it really, if it didn't, you know, it would take like 10 hours just to get all the basic mechanics down. So they kind of, and there's so many of them. I think that's the problem. There's so many, not really a problem, but there's so many different mechanics. Right. There's so many different mechanics. They throw it all at you at once. So you kind of have to really, really pay attention. You know, if you miss one thing, you know, like how the loop works, how the infusing works, how all that stuff works. You know, I was trying to figure all that stuff out. I thought like every time I would switch times, all my weapons would be there, but that's not what happened early on anyway. Like what would happen would be, okay, well, I had this infused gun I had with me in the morning, and I dropped it for something else. I come back, go to noon, that gun is gone. Like it's not in my inventory. It's nowhere to be found. I didn't understand why. But when the loop starts over the next morning, it's back into my inventory.
Correct.
You know, it's that little stuff. I was like, where the hell is this gun? I just spent 8,000 credits or whatever infusing. Is driving me nuts. And that's the kind of the stuff I would DM mains. I'm like, I don't understand why is this not?
I got a lot of DMs this week from people.
I couldn't figure it out, man. And then eventually I kind of got to the point where it's like, okay, this makes sense, you know. But still, I mean, you know, not a 10.
Oh my god!
All right, let me get to a bunch of these comments because we've got a lot.
Yeah, sure. I didn't read any of them.
Good to see you, man. Arkane basically made a love letter to all their previous games in Deathloop: Dishonored, Prey, Moon Crash. Good call out for sure. Which is a dream come true. 100% accurate.
Good comment. Yeah.
Elo said, sounds like Groundhog Day, where you have to find the perfect day to get the loop solved. Is this the case? I'm kind of excited for that. Really, that's exactly the case.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And you kind of work towards that. And when you finally do pull it all together, it's really, really neat. So let's see. Bear with me. Sorry. Hey, we got a lot. It's been a while. Kev says Dan will never be happy.
This is true.
There's your comment. So
that's an evergreen comment, and also separate from video games and separate from.
I would say all my contemporaries agree with that comment.
Kev also said you learn piano too fast. It's supposed to be harder. You're grounded.
Oh my god!
It's the Dan household.
Yep. You have no
Ladies
idea
in the
what
chat, good to see you. AKW, good morning. Mo, I did not have speakers to set up that day. Stop your slander. I see what's going on in there.
Love it.
But yeah, so Travis, I know you're real early yet. You going to get to it this week, you think?
Yeah, I hope so. I have another preview I'm working on. But now that the review's done, my hope is that I get around to it today. I definitely have to get around to it before Halo Infinite next weekend.
Yeah, so, man. We're already planning next weekend.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, that's my goal is to get as much time in and probably finish it. I assume if you beat it in 2 days, I'll probably be able to beat it in like half a day. So easy peasy.
Oh my gosh.
Good luck.
I'll probably beat it on the first loop, I guess.
Yeah, you will. You will.
Has anybody done that yet? Have we?
You can't.
Do we have a super fast speed run? No. Okay.
No, you can't. Yeah. The game's not set up that way. Like you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you guys. So I was talking to a bunch of my buddies last night that have been watching this game. I was actually doing share play with Mike last night on PlayStation. He was like, just kind of like, I had no idea what this game's about. You know, I've seen all this marketing and it didn't really explain the game.
He's just watching you.
Yeah. Cool. He was loving it. But you know, historically, the Arcane Studios games haven't really done very well commercially. So
Right.
do you think this will be turning the ship for them? I freaking hope so, but
Yes,
I don't
100%.
know if that will be the case.
I think it will, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think
I-
PS5 owners were starved for the next game, right? It's unique. The reviews obviously probably helped it because it's gotten a lot of positive press this week.
Yeah.
And I saw, just anecdotally, I saw a lot of people saying, hey, everyone's raving about this game. I went and picked it up, which is great to see.
Cool.
So I hope so. But the other kind of caveat to that, right, is even if it doesn't, assuming it comes next year to Xbox as planned and lands on Game Pass, I think eventually millions of people will play this game, even if it doesn't necessarily succeed on a huge level on PS5 right now.
Sure.
That's kind of all Arcane games. They have a really strong like lifetime. Like Dishonored, didn't do well commercially, but like people still talk about Dishonored.
They do
in conversation, and people are still playing it. Like to even recently. Like my friend Nick played it like 3 months ago. He's like, dude, have you played this game called Dishonored? It's one of my favorite games ever. I'm like, bro, that game came out like 8 years ago.
It's like 8 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm gonna play the second one. I'm like, all right, man, power to you. But yeah, I think
awesome.
like lifetime Arcane, because they tend to age really well. Man, that blink ability needs to be in more games. Why is that?
It's in Deathloop.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah,
Deathloop.
I know it is. I know.
Yeah.
Shift.
Put it in Halo. Like that should be in every game. Like why I want blink in every.
Well, they had
game.
thrust,
Right?
and now they took it out. But don't get me started.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Yeah, it's. I was trying to think the other day, to your point, Jordan, about kind of chatting about this game with others. We were talking about studios that just one after another create new IPs that are so well done. And I was trying to think of another studio that's done that recently on a AAA level, not just indies, right? I wasn't coming up with a whole lot. So if you think about, they went from Dishonored, and then they went to, obviously Dishonored was a big hit for them, so they had two, and Death of the Outsider. But then they went to Prey. Now they've gone to Deathloop, which is amazing, and we've got Redfall coming in less than a year. And Redfall is from Arcane Austin, who made Prey, and they said they've been working on it since 2017. So I have little doubt that this game is going to be incredible next year.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing. And I don't know, I wanted to mention it on the cast too, is I know, Jordan, you watch it. I know Dan watched it. Travis, I don't know if you saw this, but the No Clip did a documentary on Prey this week they released. And the making of Prey, and kind of how many of us, this panel mostly, and many others, consider it one of the greatest games of last generation and one of our favorite. Yeah. And, how they designed it and their challenges in coding it. And when you watch that, you get a sense for how that studio develops these levels the way that they do. Because what they talked about is they actually have teams that are assigned as level architects. Like they don't just design a level and then put gameplay around it, right? Like they literally work in tandem with the gameplay team and say, okay, here's what needs to be in this area, and then they map it out. And like it was really interesting. So if you enjoy these games and you haven't watched that yet, please do, because it's just fascinating.
Yeah, I think Arcane is on my top 5 developers in terms of like most talented developers. It'd be like Playground Games is on there, Bungie is on there, and Arcane is on there. So
I'm kidding.
Bungie, I mean, they're
Bungie, I'm joking. Bungie is way up.
Bungie's pitching no hitters. I'm just saying, all their games are landmark games that change the industry. So
there are 2 games. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not arguing.
You hit 2 bullseyes that changed the entire landscape of the game. How many more do you want?
Well, especially, I mean, can you imagine, not to kind of get off the rails here, but can you imagine their new game whenever that releases, right? That they've been working on. Can you imagine if that kind of hits the same way? Like,
that'd be crazy.
I mean, they're gonna.
I mean, they gave up Halo, which nobody would ever expect a company to ever do, and then they said, we want to make a game that's our Star Wars, and then people were like, are you insane? Like, have you seen Star Wars? And then they did it. Like lots of people, like Paul Tassi, said on Fireteam Chat that like Destiny is way more important to him than Star Wars ever was. And it's just like, all right, I mean,
but
at least to some people,
Paul doesn't have very good takes, so I don't know if that means
I tend to agree with you. I share space with the guy. So
but you're right.
I mean, my point is that Arcane is an extremely talented studio, and I've thought they're underrated and underappreciated for years. So I'm really glad to see them get so much love. And I'm only a little bit into the game, but like so far, like The writing is very good. You know what's weird is I say the things Colt is about to say. Like, you know, like I was like, oh, they definitely dated when she like pushed him off the thing, and then he was like, yep, we definitely dated. I'm like, this guy gets it. Like he just that's how you know it's good writing, when my quips are then used in the game like a second later. So yeah,
that's how
I'm really
you know it's good writing.
That's how you know it's good. Like if what naturally comes out of you is what is written in the game. It's really
No, I just wanted to echo your sentiment about that no clip documentary, because that was pretty special, man. And I don't normally sit down to watch a lot of those things, but that was just super engrossing. Maybe just because I'm a huge fan of Prey to begin with, but watching them are like kind of describe their creative process is something else. Like I don't know what it takes to conceptualize and execute something like this, especially on that scale. You know, and then towards the end of that video, they wrap up and saying like, you know, Prey didn't succeed. You know, we kind of consider this now. You might call this a cult classic now, and you kind of hear, you know, I can't remember his name at the time. The studio head kind of like, you know, expressing a disappointment in that, but the fact that he's, you know, they're all incredibly proud of their work. You can tell that. Yeah. But yeah, I just want to see these guys just keep making games, because they're definitely the ones to watch, like Travis was saying.
Yeah, Dishonored gets a lot of love every time, like, you know, the Arcane comes up. They're like, go play Dishonored if you really liked Deathloop. I would just say like, play Prey. Like that's my pitch to you is like,
my man.
Dishonored gets enough love, I feel, so that people will play it who are into that. But like, you should play Prey. It I think it had the bad experience of launching as an imperfect, pretty buggy game. Like lots of reviewers had issues with bugs. But if you go and play that game now, it is a wild ride, and the narrative is
it's chef's kiss.
Yeah, man. I think Prey's their best game. I still do, even after Deathloop and even over Dishonored. I think Prey's their best game.
Really, I can't argue with that. That's sci-fi story, man.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. And to your point, it's not as accessible, Jordan, as Deathloop, right? Like it asks you to invest quite a lot and to figure things out on your own quite a bit. But if you do, it's so good. It's just so good.
Yeah. All they ask for is just a little bit of your like focus and your intelligence, and again, once you kind of grasp,
you've lost 50% of the gaming population.
Exactly. That's the thing. And they even mentioned that in the documentary too, as far as like at the beginning of the game, they probably threw too much at the player, or they had too many abilities, so it didn't kind of, you know, go where they necessarily wanted the player to go. But yeah, that game is special, man. And to
Beast Mode said his name is Rafael Colantonio. So that's the gentleman who was speaking about the game. Yep. Thank you, Beast.
Yeah, like they said, the combat in that game is a bit tricky. You know, most people, you know, going into it's like, oh, it's a first-person shooter. It's like, no, it's not that straightforward at all. Like you have to be. The combat is much more tactical in that regards. But yeah, the game is so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. There was one other darn comment I wanted to get to. I apologize. I lost it now. That's okay. But yes, play Prey.
Yes,
that's the summary. I actually started my third playthrough a few months ago when I was talking about it, and I didn't finish. So I actually re-downloaded it again last night, and I think I may jump back into it today just for some fun.
Nice.
I need to play Mooncrash again. I still haven't finished that.
That's the other thing is Mooncrash, you know, as underappreciated as Prey was at the time, Mooncrash was even more so because it came out later, and it was the expansion for a game that didn't sell well.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. Like it's a roguelike expansion for Prey, and it's so well done. Can't say enough good things about it.
That explains how they got to Deathloop, actually.
Yes.
They talk about that in the documentary. Building upon their foundations. Yep.
Nice.
So really cool. So Deathloop, guys. So I was looking through critical reception of games so far this year, and then kind of looking at what's coming later this year that could kind of compete, right? We're talking about game of the year. So this is from Metacritic. So far this year, the highest rated games that came out originally this year, because like Hades is up there, right? But it's not a new release for 2021, etc. So Psychonauts 2 is a 91. Flight Sim, whether or not you count that, who knows, is a 90. It Takes Two is an 89. Deathloop's at 88, Ratchet and Clank's at 88, Death's Door is at 87, and Tales of Arise is at 87. So you've got, I mean, if you look through that list, whether or not you like Flight Sim or not, that's kind of a unique experience, right? But the games on that list are all incredible. I mean, they're all just fantastic games. So I think we always joke about Metacritic not being the measure, but to some degree, there's a correlation here between quality and the experience. But I definitely think, especially being that it's a AAA release, I definitely think Deathloop is going to be in the running for the game of the year. I don't have a doubt about that. And if you look at like what's coming still to come, we've got, bear with me. So we've got, Diablo 2 is not really going to count, right? You've got Kena, but I don't think Kena is going to play in that same space. We'll see, obviously, who knows? Far Cry 6 it's never going to be up there. Yeah. Back 4 Blood's not going to be there. Riders Republic's not going to be there. Call of Duty's not going to be there. Grand Theft Auto 5's coming out again.
Could surprise you.
Stop.
Grand
Theft Auto 5's coming again.
What?
Halo Infinite could be for most real sites that use a whole year. But in terms of video game awards, it won't be in play because it comes out in December. So Metroid Dread, depending on how good that is. But I think the games we've already played this year are really going to be kind of way up there for for a game of the year running this year. So now that you've got a lot of time in Deathloop, Jordan, I know we've talked about. Damn it! I know we've talked about the Psychonauts. I know we've talked about It Takes Two. I know you've talked about Death's Door. We've talked about a bunch of these games extensively. Where are you at? Like, you haven't beat Deathloop yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I've been really taking my time with it, and honestly, I probably just like we discussed earlier, I probably could be more straightforward with driving through the story because you do have the ability to wrap up things at the end of it. But yeah, as far as my game of the year list, I'm assuming that's where your question was going, right, man? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like where are you at right now?
Right now, I think I'm still at Death's Door being my top. I was debating between that and It Takes Two for the longest time, but the more I think about it now, I think that Death's Door was just a little bit more what I wanted in a game. Not that It Takes Two wasn't spectacular, but I think I just overall enjoyed what Death's Door was to me and how it played. So yeah, I would say Death's Door, It Takes Two, Psychonauts 2, and again, Deathloop's going to be in there. I don't know where it's going to rank just yet, but it's going to be in my list.
Yeah, and I thank you, Elu, because I keep forgetting Little Nightmares 2 is this year as well.
Yes.
Although
We
the
had a
reviews for that are in
that.
they're in the lower 80s. Someone mentioned Hitman, that's in kind of the mid 80s, so it's in that range. I do think Beast Mode brings up a good point. Forza Horizon 5 will probably be. It could be in the 90s as it has before. It might be the highest rated game of the year, but will a racing game win game of the year? I don't know. They usually don't, right? It's usually a narrative type game. Right. So, yeah. I don't know. Dan, where are you at, man? What's your favorite game so far this year?
Gosh, man.
Is it Hitman?
It's only because I put so much time into it.
Sure.
There's for sure better done games out there. It wasn't like Hitman 3 was some kind of huge leap forward from 2, but it was, it's still really good. It's still one of my favorite games this year.
Yeah.
Deathloop's probably going to be up there. I don't want to speak on it until I'm finished with it because I have no idea what's happening. Not Outriders. That's definitely not on my list. But other games I sink a ton of time into, like MLB. Like my games of the year so far aren't like, I don't know. They're not really
aren't the Metacritic leaders.
They're just games that I really enjoyed playing this year. Out of that whole list, Ratchet and Clank is up there too. It was super good and it was super fun. They did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
But I really don't have like that front runner, I guess, right now.
Okay.
And we've got so much. Next week somebody punched me in my face. There's Tina Judgment comes out next week, Lost Judgment, and then Diablo 2 comes out.
Diablo 2, Kena, and Judgment all next week.
What the hell, man?
And then there's Far Cry 6, Metroid Dread, Back 4 Blood, and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl all in 1 week.
Yeah, I'm screwed.
That's a big week.
Yeah. There's 3. I'm just trying to finish Deathloop before Kena comes out, because if I don't, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to finish that. And then Judgment's going to basically be sitting there until I'm done with Kena. Then I'll have Judgment to play. Then there's going to be Diablo 2 looming over me the entire time. Like, hey, why aren't you touching me? And then by the time I get through all that, it'll probably be Far Cry time, for me to do that.
It's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah. Jesus.
Or 2.5.
Yeah. It's really close.
No, my God, it's so
Good
much. I
question.
can't believe it's that close. Maybe that'll get
Yeah.
delayed. Delay it.
Beast Mode said, when is
Good
Gunk coming? So
question.
Gunk
Yeah.
did come out and said they're coming in December, but they didn't give a specific date.
Okay.
So it sounds like they really want to release this year, right? But they're probably waiting to the last possible moment.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that looks fun as hell too. And Resident Evil Village was this year as well.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. That was really good.
Really good. One of my favorite Resident Evils. I was talking to some people about it last night. I think for me, and I've said this many times, for me so far, I've actually for once I've played all of these games that we're talking about. I'm only about 2/3. I haven't finished Death's Door and I haven't finished It Takes Two, but I'm about 2/3 through both of them.
So good.
I put Psychonauts 2 probably at the top for me right now, just because it's such a complete experience. And I was trying to think, because Jordan, we talked about this with It Takes Two and kind of the creativity and the brilliance of those levels, right? And the way they're designed is amazing. And I was actually watching a playthrough of it of some guys I follow as well, which reminded me. And I'm going to continue it this week. So I will finish It Takes Two. But I think what separates Psychonauts 2, puts it above It Takes Two for me, is I found the writing in Takes Two just juvenile is a bad word, but really kind of basic. It's like
it is charmingly kind of basic.
Charmingly simple, right?
Yeah,
like it's in your face. You know what the story is. You know the point they're making, and there's nothing kind of nuance to it. Whereas Psychonauts 2 writing is so witty and humorous and intelligent, and just like it gives you something no other games give you. And I think for me, that's what gives it that extra layer up top.
No, I would agree with you on that. Yeah. It Takes Two, except you kind of, from the beginning where the story's going, how it's going to wrap up.
It tells you what it is.
Yes. You know? Yeah. Psychonauts 2 left me guessing like the whole time. I did not see like any of those twists coming in that game. Yeah. I wasn't expecting a story of that level, to be honest, because I hadn't played the first one. So I was just like, this is wild.
Yeah.
So
I know
two is good for you without ever having played
it. I like a lot of my buddies were saying like, play the first one because you'll miss some of the nuance, and I did miss some of that nuance there too.
There's Easter eggs and kind of jokes about it.
Yes. You mentioned about like the final battle having something similar in the first game, and I was like, okay, this is what he's talking about. But yeah, I didn't feel lost in the game, Travis. Maybe a little bit in the beginning because there's so many names.
I'm wanting to like replay one is my thing, because I played one when I was like in 6th grade or something.
Sure.
All right.
Sure. Yeah, I think I was probably about 6th grade as well. Yeah.
Go. So anyway, one's obviously excellent. It's cult classic, like we've talked about. But yeah, there's just something about 2 that really strikes with me. So I don't know, Travis, where are you at, man? Have you played a lot of these kind of top-rated games here? And where are you at?
Yeah, so I actually make a point to play to complete every game that is at the Game Awards. Like that's my goal.
Oh wow!
So that I can be fully informed. But that said, there's a lot of games this year that I haven't done yet. So my second half of the year is going to be like a crunch, which it usually is. Usually at the end of the year, I beat like 20 games in like a couple weeks. Like I just
like everything that's nominated.
Yeah,
so like
everything.
any like so if there's a game like there's like whatever best score, you'll just go play all like 6 games in that thing real fast if you haven't played them. Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, usually I don't have to do a ton of work. Like that's the good thing about reviewing games is you play games you wouldn't normally a lot of time. Like it's like, all right, cool. Iron Fish off the list if that ever becomes, nominee. But like, I make a point to beat them all. So I'm definitely gonna do that this year. But this year I'm like behind on a lot of them. Like It Takes Two is probably at the top of my list, but I also haven't played Psychonauts. Right.
Yeah.
Like I haven't played Psychonauts 2 at all. I haven't even.
You can't go wrong with either of those. They're both amazing.
Yep. So it's kind of tough for me. But yeah, I need to look over the list of games that have come out this year because I feel like there's a ton that I really liked. Still haven't beaten Returnal, stuff like that. Like there's a bunch of them I'm gonna have to go back to and like finish. Returnal. Yeah,
Dude, there's so much for a year that is full of freaking delays. We got so many freaking games.
Yeah.
And it's not even close to over. It might be worse this part of
it might be worse this fall. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be. Yeah. And like then Halo comes out in December, which, the traditional Game Awards, the Jeff Keighley shows, like those are, they don't count December releases in that because of when their event happens. But like if you're counting Halo, then like, all bets are off. Like who knows what the game of the year is going to look like. Sure. Do you guys do it? I don't know how Season Gaming does it. Do you guys?
Yeah, we do it. We wait till January.
Nice. That's
like
that's,
a real outlet.
I wish we did it that way, but we don't. We have to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's you get more coverage at the end of the year, right? I think that's the problem. So, but yeah,
it's also just when the award season is.
Exactly.
Like the award season should be January, February.
Of course it should.
But that's just not how it is. So I don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Travis, did you play Death's Door, Little Nightmares 2?
Yeah, I did. I played. Yeah, those are Death's Door. I'm not finished with. Little Nightmares is like one of my. I really
Yeah, Little Nightmares 2 is way up there for
man.
me. Yeah, way up there.
It doesn't. I don't think it beats a lot of the games, and obviously I haven't played Deathloop all the way yet. But like some of the games I've already played, I'm like, all right, like I don't think Death's Door is going to be my game of the year either, just because. I haven't finished it, but so far I was like, all right, this kind of reminds me of like OG Zelda games. But to me, the thing I look for in game of the year is I look for the game that I feel like changed the games industry the most. Like that's what matters to me. What the game of the year. So like last year, my game of the year was Half-Life Alyx, because like there's nothing like that game, and I think 5 years from now, people will look back at that game and be like, that was a landmark. Like that helped change VR. For me personally, I wasn't into VR at all, and then I played that game. I like went out of my way to buy a PC and set up VR on it, and I played it, and I was like, all right, now I'm a believer in VR. And now I own like 3 VR headsets.
That's awesome.
And just like it got me in. So like games like that, and so it's gonna need to be something special for me. And I don't know if I've seen that game yet. So,
I'm with you, man. Yeah.
Far Cry 6, obviously.
Far Cry 6 is going to change the game, guys. It's going to change the game. Collectathons will never be the same.
Yeah.
By the way, when you were playing Psychonauts, were those your 6th grade contemporaries?
6th grade contemporaries.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I'm not
I think Dan was
aside
on
from
his
like
fourth
McCaffrey.
life, 6th kid,
Yeah, just wait for Forza Horizon to come out, and Travis and his car contemporaries can discuss
honestly,
that game.
Forza. So here's the thing: Forza 4, the year that came out, I thought it should win Game of the Year, and it didn't even get nominated.
I know.
It didn't even get nominated, and it was one of the, I think it had a higher Metacritic.
It was like 92 or 93 Metacritic. It didn't even get
nominated.
nominated.
Get nominated, and I was just like, really, like honestly, the whole awards show is so biased against sports and racing games. They have a category. Here's how you know they're biased against it. They combine sports and racing, the two things we don't like, and they made it a category. Those two things together. It blows my mind how much they hate those games. But yeah, I thought Forza 4 was like the best game that year.
It's
and the funny thing is, 5 looks even better, right? If you've been paying attention to the videos they do,
and people will ignore it. That's the other thing is like it. I remember the year Forza came out, they were like, well, you don't have any, there's 0 Xbox exclusives coming out this year. It was like an interview with Phil Spencer, and Phil goes, well, we got Forza, and the guy goes, that doesn't count. And Phil goes, okay, like what?
It's only the highest rated game of the year, but whatever.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't count. So
yeah, I kind of get annoyed by that too, because it not only kind of discredits the game itself, right, and what they've achieved with that game, but they're also overlooking, and I preach about this all the time, but the experiences you can have within that. Like, you can easily, without even blinking an eye, get 100 hours out of Forza Horizon 5, and you can do that by yourself. You can do it with friends. You can meet people. You can learn things. Like, there's just so much to those games.
Have you ever realized the Forza games have like no bugs in them? Like
they're like flawless, dude. They're so good.
It's unreal. I've never seen one. I look for bugs in games. It's like part of the reviewing, and I never find them in Forza games. And I'm like it's the absence of stuff sometimes that makes a game amazing. Like the absence of bugs, period, is crazy.
All right, let's get a couple.
It's the notes you don't hear.
Good point.
Yeah, Forza Horizon 5 is going to be something special, man. I can't wait. So that's I was thinking, if it wasn't for Halo's for me, as we all know, right? But if it wasn't for Halo, I could easily say that I would put the most time this year into Forza Horizon out of any game.
Probably.
But obviously, it's going to be Halo 1 and Forza 2. Honestly,
you have a couple months extra in Forza. So do you think you'll still play more Halo?
Yes.
By the end of this year.
100%.
In that span,
I'll probably play more Halo in the first week than I play Forza Horizon this year.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll barely sleep when Halo comes out.
By the end of the year, will it be your most played game?
Yes.
Wow.
I guarantee it will. We'll check my stats on January 1st.
I don't think it will. I think probably Destiny will.
Well, come on.
Yeah, it'll probably be Destiny.
Yeah, it'll be Destiny. But yeah, Halo without a doubt.
That's so funny, man.
let's we'll see. I'm older now. I don't
23
function
days.
as well without sleep.
23
You got to get
days.
to bed at 7 p.m.
Don't want to miss those early bird specials, with my
Yeah,
contemporary.
The contemporary thing. We know what we're talking about here, Ames.
Gotta get to the diner.
Yeah, and then I have to take pee breaks every 24 minutes. It sucks.
That's what we do as contemporaries. We pee all the time.
Nice.
You guys will hit that point.
You guys aren't the same age, are you? You can't be. One of
He's
you
like-
looks
he's like
30
2
years
years
older.
younger.
I'll let you
Dan's
guys
2
guess
years
which
older
one.
than me.
Yeah,
2
he's like-
years?
2.
Yeah.
Why do you guys look like you're 20 years apart?
I don't know who you're insulting, but
Yeah, wait a
I
minute.
know that.
Oh my God.
Well, hey, which one looks 20 years older? But one of you does.
Well, that'd be me for sure. Listen, I got the mindset of a
Me
20-year-old,
for
the body of an 80-year-old.
It's me for sure. I love
For
that.
sure.
Yeah.
Dan's gonna own it. He's
I
the
have-
king of self-deprecation.
I weigh twice his weight, I bet. I mean, that's just how it is, man.
Yeah.
Could you deadlift him?
Yes.
No.
Without a
Probably.
doubt. Yes, you could. Stop it.
Yeah, I probably could.
Without a doubt.
I probably could.
I've said before, there's not many people I would run from. Dan is one I would run from.
What did you say about Deathloop?
Oh yeah,
I'd be like, have you met my friend Dan? Deal with him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I could see Dan getting arrested in the parking lot of like a Cheesecake Factory for like messing some dude up who like said something to his daughter or something. That sounds like
Dan, not to put your business out there, but there was an incident somewhere in that vicinity recently.
amazing.
Let me tell you something. Like, if you're on your phone, like in your car and driving in front of me, I will get out of my car and yell at you.
Oh wow.
There is
That's
zero
good,
chance.
though.
It's not. I mean, that's how pissed off that kind of shit makes me. Regardless, I'm a teddy bear.
Okay.
Normally.
All right. Let's get these super chats because we're
Let's get
behind
these
here.
super
We're
chats.
behind. We got
All right.
Chris's.
Chris, $10 super chat. I heard rumors Xbox next acquisition is Fast and Furious franchise. I really, really
Can
hope
you
so.
imagine though?
Tell
I mean,
me
it's
more.
not
Yes.
Universal.
Oh,
no
so
way, but how
the
good
entire 9-film Blu-ray you could get for $20 this week, which I think is overpriced.
First of
So
all,
hopefully if they do
First of
acquire it,
all-
they spend maybe $40 on the franchise
that's
rights.
digitally okay.
No,
anyway,
it was from Best Buy. It was the 9-pack thing.
the 8-pack. The
Or-
9-pack isn't a thing yet.
Okay,
So
well,
then
8-pack,
they're not
whatever.
including the new movie.
So
James,
$20 might be only a few dollars.
Come
over.
correct, my friend, if we're talking about Fast and Furious here. But-
Chris, thank you, man. And I see, look, Chris, he has the Singer Porsche 911 right there in his icon. I
There
love
you
it,
go.
baby. Love it.
Beautiful.
Let me
Actually,
get,
Ains' sock account. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
actually, funny enough, that arose from Travis, Chris, and I joking about Fast and Furious on Twitter. And he was talking about Porsche, and I said, "Oh, if you want to see a cool Porsche, look up Singer, who do custom 911s," and that's how that came about. Anyway,
Yeah. All right. From our buddy Luke at Xbox Expansion Pass. I heard on comicbook.com.
God,
That's the perfect site to get all your good information. That
Yes.
Xbox is set to acquire the term acquisition season, Popeye's
Oh.
chicken, and Dan's Anthem currency. Let me tell you something. They can get it for cheap, especially that last one. For sure. Thank you, Luke.
thank you, Luke. And by the way, Luke's 100th episode of Xbox Expansion Pass
Yeah.
is going live this week. Please, obviously, tune in and check him out. But congratulate him, man. It's not his podcast
It's awesome,
game
man.
is real, man, and he's done a lot of good work over there with a lot of studios and developers, a lot of cool interviews. So definitely congratulate him on that because it's awesome.
Yep. I was
recommend-
trying to do that on Twitter when he put that up there, and I was like, "Yeah, man, congratulations on 100 shows." And I was like, "I can't do it. I can't compliment Luke." And I was like, "No, seriously, yeah, it's all good." I had to hold myself back. No, but seriously, man, that's awesome. 100 episodes is nothing to scoff at. Wait till you get to 117, then you're going to be huge. Huge.
If nobody's made this joke, Luke, congratulations on getting expansion past your 100th episode.
There's a reason nobody made that joke.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Because it was too
I'll allow
good.
it. I'll allow
We've
it.
got one more.
Yes.
We've got one more. Pompa in the house.
Two more.
Yes.
Two more.
Pampa, the $10 super chat. This year's SG Game Awards should be pretty interesting. Can't wait to hear how Travis tells everyone's list is wrong. Lol. Hit that like button. That's
I
what's
will
gonna
do that too.
That will be
I have
fun,
one-
actually,
That'll
Travis.
be the
Yeah,
next
we'll
one.
do a Bitcast special, game of the year in January, and we'll go through that. That's gonna be fun.
Love it.
Pampa, thank you, brother. And Mr. Bad Take himself had to come in with this.
Yeah, it's acquisition season of Luke's mom. Boo, Luke. Thank you, Joseph.
Oh my God, thank you, Joe. And Joe from our friends over at the PlayStation Trophy Room podcast, I believe it's called. So definitely check those guys out as well.
Yeah.
All right, man. All over the place. So a couple delays we've got to talk about. This will shock you because I might have told you guys that this was probably coming. Battlefield has been delayed, but in a very bizarre cyberpunky-ish mood or way, they have delayed Battlefield by less than a month from October 22nd to November 19th. Also, the open beta that was supposed to happen, I believe it was next week, was originally scheduled for, now has been canceled, or at least there's no date for their next beta yet anyway. This is a good thing. Believe me, it's a very good thing. Is it enough?
Right,
yeah. Is it enough time? Literally, when we heard this date, me and Bomber, who played the tech test together, when we heard the date, we both went, nope, it's not enough time. Like, I mean, it took like 3 seconds for us to respond saying, nope, that's not enough. So I don't know, guys. Obviously, go ahead.
Here's what's going to happen. Like the guys at like CDPR right now are like, please release this game. So it's so broken. So people forget about what happened a year ago. Please outdo us in some way. And it sounds like
they're actually recalling our chairs.
That's right.
They send those back to us.
Yeah. People are going to start showing up with Battlefield chairs that fall apart like after 2 days. Like the arms falling off on podcasts and stuff. I have no idea. Just based on what I've heard, it just sounds like that's crazy, man. Crazy that it's only a month.
I have to think this is one of those delays like Cyberpunk, which we come to know afterwards. We speculate, and then afterwards we come to realize it was the truth. It feels like a financial delay. This is a delay to say, look, you can have 3 more weeks, and that's all you're getting because this game has to release this fall. It's a fiscal year decision, and that's not a good thing, especially for a game as grandiose as Battlefield. Because even though it's multiplayer only, right, you're talking about this grand scope multiplayer, pretty much a bigger scope than any other multiplayer game. And within that, I can only imagine what their kind of user acceptance testing and QA looks like. Because, like I said, I've already said it was unplayable. So I don't know how 3 weeks is going to solve this. I just don't.
What are the chances that build that they had out in the alpha was a really, really old build? You know what I mean?
100%.
Like how old
That's
is
what
that
I've
build?
said before. Is like I said, if that build was say 6 to 8 weeks old, Halo's was 2 months old when we played it, which only goes to further speak to its quality because it was amazing. But if it was 6 to 8 weeks old, they're in trouble because that's not enough time. If it was 4 to 6 months old, then maybe now we're talking about potentially being okay. So I'm like sneezing, guys.
COVID.
So I don't honestly know. I hope they come back with an open beta in October before release, obviously, and then we can realistically all talk about it because I'm just nervous. I'm not trying to put Battlefield down. I love Battlefield. Like there's 2 games I was looking forward to this fall more than anything, and that was Halo and Battlefield. So I really want this game to be amazing. But if it launches broken, it's going to be the biggest slap in the face because Battlefield always launches broken. And it's like, for once, please launch a solid game. And it just, I'm just really nervous about it.
No, I hear you, man. I want them to hit the ground running too, because I have not enjoyed Battlefield since Battlefield 3. I've played all the other ones since then, but
you didn't like 4?
I mean, it was a broken friggin' mess.
Well, it was,
for a long time. So I think at that point I started to kind of rotate out of it a bit, but 3 I sunk more time into.
Okay.
But I just like you, I was looking forward to it. I don't know what the state of the game was. Like to your point, I'm not sure what the state of the game was when that alpha was out. So again, and then a less than a month delay. Like I don't know what they can accomplish in that amount of time. Again, I'm not a developer. I don't know where things stand, but I want them to do well because if they don't, then that's like you said, it's going to be a huge detriment to them, especially launching the same month as Call of Duty now too.
Yeah. And as Beast Mode said, like EA stocks took a hit, right? Like just news, kind of this negative news can impact these financials. And I think that's the problem when you get into these really big AAA releases and you're talking about big publishers, whether it be EA, Activision, etc. There's just there's a bottom line, right?
Right.
And but the crazy thing to me when you continue to see these things, right, is we've seen example after example. Now, Cyberpunk obviously always comes up as kind of the biggest, but where it's just proven that releasing a game like this on this scale in bad shape does more harm than good. Now, CD Projekt Red has said that game wise, not the company financially, because they took a huge hit with Cyberpunk's launch, but the game was financially successful at launch. But again, do you want to take the reputation hit, which is very long lasting, right? It's very hard to come back from that. It takes years sometimes. And it's like, if Battlefield's not ready, why would you not just delay it to like spring when Halo and Call of Duty people are kind of winding down on them, right? You're just getting into the hardcore people that continue to play them. And you introduce a brand new Battlefield that's primed, ready to go when there's no other big multiplayer game dropping. I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, who knows, man? It's because EA's they're money hungry weirdos. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. You know, do what you're gonna do, though. I mean, I talked about this earlier this year. I mean, if there was a game that would get me back into playing multiplayer, this would probably be it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because I really do enjoy that game. I have in the past. It's just I know 5 was a mess, such a mess at launch. And it's just I really wanted them to kind of make a comeback. And it's just really, really disappointing in the end. So see what they do, man.
And we're seeing weird things out of Vanguard as well. Have you seen some of those glitches that are going around?
Yeah, it's insane, man.
It looks disastrous. So, which I don't care about even a little bit. But I know a lot of people who do love Call of Duty, despite it being the popcorn, the Fast and Furious of shooters.
No, how dare you? How dare you? That is so wrong on so many levels.
I had to get you back hyped up here.
How dare you? Fast and Furious slander aside, I have a few thoughts here.
Go for it.
Is that I honestly think you guys are being a little unfair to EA. And the reason for that is because you got to assume that the alpha that you guys played was an old build, right?
Hopefully, yes.
And you got to assume that these guys know how much time they need to fix their game. And if they were going to delay it, there's nothing keeping them from delaying it a couple more months. It probably wouldn't have hurt their stock prices more. Obviously, it could be a financial delay. You're right. Like it could be like okay, well, this is the most we can give you. But I think that there's a pretty good chance that they just needed that final sprint where they're like what Halo said that they were doing earlier this month, where they said that they were in that heads down lockdown mode where they're just crushing bugs. If that's all they're spending their time doing and they're not adding anything to the game, they're just crushing bugs, an extra 3 weeks can be super valuable. I don't see how it couldn't for that final day. And in terms of EA being money hungry weirdos, like I just think that's probably not a fair assessment of a game of a large company that has thousands of people working for it who work really hard on games and often produce really good games. I mean, we were talking just this episode about
EA has gotten better. We did talk about that.
And their Dead Space remaster looks really good, and
Mass Effect remake
was good. The what was the game that came out last year as well?
I don't know.
Why am I forgetting this game? Anyway,
FIFA?
It was on the tip. It was on the tip of my tongue, and then I lost it. But yeah, they've come out. They have a pretty. Oh, sorry, Jedi Fallen Order. That's another one.
Jedi Fallen Order. They had Knockout City this year too, which
incredibly good. Knockout City was really good. So I obviously all companies to some extent are money hungry weirdos. They have to turn a profit, but I don't think that that's a fair assessment of EA as a company. And I think they put out good games and they want Battlefield to be successful, obviously.
So
I think
100% they
to
do.
be successful.
Yeah. And I think
because they like money. That's why they want it to be successful. I mean, listen.
That's every company.
But here's the thing, Dan. If they just liked money, they could go to another industry where it was a lot easier to make money for a lot less work. They chose the video game industry because they want to create video games. And I think it's, they're not. It's not like they're a financial institution that's just turning $3 into $300 using some like bot that's like reselling a stock. They're not doing that. So let's give them a little credit for the fact that they're creating something and that making video games is extremely hard.
I think
and
that
the fans are really mean about it as well.
I think in the studio, at the studio level, you're right. I think you're 100% accurate. I think at the corporate CEO level, I don't think they really give two shits about, you know, what the cultural impact of their games are, as opposed to how much is Madden going to make me for my, you know, super, you know, or FIFA, whatever it is, through microtransactions. That's what, and maybe that's what those two franchises are for. But generally, on a studio level, I completely agree with you, 100%. I think these creators do a wonderful job. I think, you know, and we've talked about this before, I think they could probably go to more of a, you know, I would say live service game, but like something where they don't have to release, and, you know, they can take whatever they're investing in Madden 2027 and put it back into Madden 2025, you know, and make a game that they just update and continue to push, you know, because I mean, I'm not sure how much they make as far as like, you know, a per game release, you know, so I have no idea. But EA just hasn't in the past generally had a very favorable, you know, perception for people. They don't come out and you go, oh yeah, they're this amazing company. You look and see, you know, their most egregious things, and every once in a while you get stuff like, you know, the Mass Effect, you know, remake, or was it Takes Two? That was them too. Or like, you know, Unraveled was like one of my favorite games. Like, you know, when it came out, I thought it was great. You know, but and credit to those developers for doing that. You know, but something like Battlefield is going to rely probably on, you know, microtransactions. It's probably going to rely more on, you know, to get that game. It needs to be good for EA's sake. If you're going to sink that much money into it, you know, you really have to come out and give us, especially for a group, I think, of fans that have been very, very supportive over the last 2 or 3 iterations of the game, that have gotten pretty much dog crap at launch. Now they fixed it, you know, and that's on DICE, I guess. But when you come out and you throw a game out there just to get it out there, you know. And I don't know, and then, like I said, I don't know if it's 100% what they're doing, but that's what it sounds like. But you know, like to Ains's point, why not wait till the springtime? Put as much effort as you can into it. You're releasing it in a time frame that doesn't have, you know, all this competition, because Halo is going to bury. I mean, I'm not even a Halo guy, and I think it's going to bury pretty much everything at that time as soon as it launches. Like, everybody's going to forget about stuff.
Halo could have bugs too. My point.
Oh, for sure,
is that,
100%.
Like, we're not developers, right? And I try to shy away from being an armchair developer and pretending like I know how long it takes to ship a game and how long it takes to squash bugs. But they made a decision, and I think give them the benefit of the doubt. And
you're saying judge them by the decision when we have it in our hands.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. Judge them once you're playing the game. I think this whole, like, obviously EA is a super easy target. People love to hate on them. I mean, I think they won like worst company in America,
which is crazy.
The year that like the BP oil spill happened.
It's crazy.
It's like, okay, come on, that's not, like, you guys are being insane. But
perspective is not the it's not the best.
The games industry doesn't have a lot of that, a lot of perspective.
No.
But I just think, like, you know, these people are making games. Say what you want about some decisions they've made in the past. And also, I think it's unfair to just say the word microtransaction as like an evil thing. Like, why is EA still one of the only companies that gets in trouble for microtransactions? And for other companies, it's like their entire business model. And we're like, oh, this is great. I just don't understand the rules for when you can criticize somebody for microtransactions. But that's just me.
Well, we've got a couple of super chats that disagree with you. We'll get to real quick.
I'm used to being in the correct minority. That's sort of my whole
all right vibe. £5 super chat from Fat Boy Horror. Hey, buddy. Not unfair to EA at all. They are money hungry weirdos. Have you seen their microtransactions for FIFA? That's, I think, where people are getting most of it from. It's
the ultimate team modes, man.
The ultimate team modes.
They make like $4 billion a year off of them.
Right. You're trying to get one card. Thing. People are throwing, I mean, and this is really on the consumer more than anything else. But I mean, if you're going to be throwing thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get one, you know, gold Ronaldo card, you know, or whatever it is.
But the sad thing is, though, that's not just EA now, right? Like 2K does it. MLB The Show does
2K,
it. Like
yeah,
every
they're just
sports
as bad.
game does it now.
Right, it's all these sports games, but that's what really EA is known for. It's not like the guy that's playing Call of Duty and Madden knows what It Takes Two is, So I mean, generally the bigger part of the public they know what EA is known for, and it's those bigger yearly games that they want to throw out there and charge you an arm and a leg to compete in an online world. That it's basically at one point it was pay to win. It's not so much that I think anymore, but and I totally understand where people are coming from. It's they're weirdos.
Yeah,
just the guys that want the money is what I'm saying.
All right, so February we got Dan Lazaro in the house.
$2 unfair to EA is the most ridiculous thing ever said.
Patently, like demonstrably false.
Thank you, guys.
There are way worse things said in the world.
I do appreciate the super chats, guys. Thank you much.
Yes.
Fat Boy, man, you don't have to keep super chatting as much as I appreciate it, dude.
Another £5. Are we talking about the same company that put microtransactions in the same bracket as Kinder Surprise Eggs? Man, those things are disgusting. Also, you'll choke on stuff.
You'll choke on stuff. Oh my gosh.
Man.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. We got way off track on the Battlefield debate there. But yes, we will. I guess we'll see. I'm assuming they're going to announce an open beta in October. We'll see what happens when they launch in November, and we'll take it from there. Fingers crossed. That's all I can say. But previously they were 6 weeks from Halo. Now they're 2 weeks from Halo, which means it's going to be a lot less time for me playing it, or 2.5, 3 weeks, whatever. But yeah, now they're even closer to Halo, which,
Unless Halo gets delayed.
Stop it. All right. The other major delay this week was Dying Light 2, a game that I'm really excited for because it just looks tremendous. That was coming out on December 7th, one day before Halo. They announced that about a month before Halo came out and announced December 8th, which I think everyone laughed at because it was like 1 day apart. And they came out this week and said, we're delaying to February. So
smart,
which is kind of crazy because if I put it in our notes here, guys, but February and March, even now we're in September, and February and March, assuming these games don't get delayed because they're seeming to be everywhere, is already ridiculous. So we have Elden Ring at the end of January. We have Pokemon Legends for those who care at the end of January. We have Dying Light 2 now on February 4th. We have Horizon Forbidden West on February 18th. We have Destiny 2, The Witch Queen on February 22nd. Saints Row Reboot, February 25th. Gran Turismo 7, March 5th. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, March 25th. And Marvel's new Midnight Suns game in March as well. So already February and March, if you count the end of January, you're already looking at nearly 10 AAA releases.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't even understand it anymore. Yeah. I mean, and let's remember, a lot of our favorite experiences we keep talking about are indie games. That's not even counting all the indie games that could be coming out in that same time period. It's nuts. So I don't know. Best of luck to Dying Light 2, I guess. But
I mean, it's only slightly better.
Delays.
Yeah.
It's only slightly.
I saw Dying Light 2 at E3 like 5 years ago.
Yeah, years
ago. They had a long demo that looked like it was like ready to come out, and then it keeps getting delayed. They changed the name. Like it's just like I have no idea what's going on with that game. But that developer is sort of like very like kind of what we used to think CDPR was. Like they wait until it's ready and aren't afraid to delay it. But I think maybe them seeing what happened to Cyberpunk made them like extra cautious, and now they're like relaunching it and re-delaying it. So I have no idea when that game is going to come out.
Well, and that type of developer, Techland, right? They're worth quite a bit of money. Dying Light, the first one, has been a huge hit for them, and they've, to their credit, they've supported it extremely well. But they've become they've become a very well-known company that fans adore, right? So to your point, they've got to probably be very careful about getting negative reputation with this game's release, especially as anticipated as it is. So, I can't blame them at all. Oh, man. All right. So a couple other things to just touch on, just so you guys are aware, coming this week as we're talking. So Kena, this Sunday as we're recording this, Kena releases on Tuesday for the PS5. And it's cross-platform, right? PS4 as well, I believe.
I think so.
And we've got Diablo 2 this week as well, Resurrected on Thursday. And then the following week after that, like we said, the first week of October just gets completely nuts. But
Metroid.
Yeah, I hope it's good, man. I hope it's good. real quick, I wanted to talk about these upcoming projects from Xbox Game Studios. One developing, one publishing that Jez over at Windows Central kind of uncovered and published, I think, on Thursday. But there's two, and one of them's really notable, which is why I wanted to talk about it. But the first, I would say the less notable one, I don't know if that's fair, but it's called Project Indus. This is part of this NVIDIA GeForce leak that came out where they leaked this whole list of games. But then, some of these games we know are coming, like Gear 6. Well, yeah, we know it's coming, right? And then others were speculative. But according to Jez, a few of these projects are real. He's already heard about them from other sources and has information on them. In particular, he calls out two. One is called Project Indus, which is apparently a real-time strategy game in the vein of like Civilization that is being developed by a developer called Oxide Games, who is they currently work on a different RTS right now. But this is going to be coming to PC and Xbox, and apparently will be kind of built in a way that will allow easy kind of cloud play or remote play as well. So it could be capitalized on kind of where Xbox is going with being able to play your games anywhere. So that's kind of cool. But the far more interesting one, at least to me, and I think to many, is Project Cobalt, which is In Exile. So the Wasteland 3 developer who just moved into a new studio. Xbox has basically thrown them money. Brian Fargo, big RPG developer, a lot of good history there, right? Fallout original creators, a lot of them are there. They are apparently making a FPS. I put RPS in our notes. FPS RPG set in the Victorian era with kind of steampunkish vibes. And if you saw some of the concept art, it looks very kind of Dishonored meets BioShock. And it looks very, very interesting. So apparently this is, like I said, because this is In Exile, knowing their roots, I expect the RPG elements to be very heavy in this, which is a good thing to me anyway.
And the FPS to probably not be as strong.
Okay,
they certainly don't have the pedigree for it. They'd have to hire a lot of people.
That's true, but remember, they're now part of this family that has a ton of that pedigree, right? You've got ID, right? You've got 343. You've got a bunch of these companies within the family. Supposedly aiming for a release in 2023. Now, I take far out release dates with the biggest grain of salt ever in today's gaming industry, so I'm not worried about that.
Especially based off of a report like this. It's not even an official announcement.
Exactly. It's just a rumor. But apparently the game is real. The art's real. They kind of, a couple people kind of revalidated or confirmed this. So this is really interesting. I think this is just more of a preview of the kind of games we can expect to see from Xbox Game Studios in the coming years. We've been talking about for a long time now, what are these studios up to and what are they going to bring from the AAA space, right? And this is kind of that. So interesting, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Yago in the chat saying Titanfall 3. Yes, Titanfall 3 was on that list as well from NVIDIA. Whether or not that's real or one of the speculative ones, we don't know, but let's hope it's real.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of games on that list. So,
yeah.
I mean, it just give me something, man. I mean, we're not hurting anymore. We're not in this point, even with the pandemic, we're still getting stuff at a, very consistent rate, but that stuff was, it was exciting to kind of see. It's like, oh, maybe, God of War to the PC or, a lot of.
I guarantee that happens.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
because that's PlayStation's model, right? Is they're going to bring their major AAA exclusives to PC a little later after launch, not like Xbox. But what it'll do, right, is they'll do that right when they're getting Ragnarok on the PS5 and PS4, and it kind of, it builds that hype and momentum for people buying their console.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited. In Exile, I mean, Wasteland 3 was definitely one of my top games last year, so it was, super fun. I like to see what they can do with a FPS. The Victoria era sounds awesome, and BioShock meets Dishonored. Yeah, I mean, that's all you gotta say.
Yeah, and I mean, Brian Fargo has been talking this up for some time, as Beast Mode said, and Beast Mode makes a good point as well. Steampunk RPG rumored to have the highest budget and hired across Santa Monica and other high pedigree studios. Yeah, so that's the thing that people miss too. Like, everyone's always talking about freaking acquisitions. They're missing, and I've talked about this before, that a lot of these studios that are in the company now, or the publishing arm, or however you want to call it, have been staffing up with just tremendous talent, which is much more usable, I think, in a faster fashion with some of these projects. So I think that's really interesting as well.
It's not necessarily about acquire, but acqui-hire.
God.
That's what they call it. That's what it's actually a term in the tech industry. It's when you acquire a company by just hiring all the people that work there.
Poaching, basically. Yeah.
Acquire.
But what do you think, guys? You think so? Any thoughts on Cobalt, first of all, and then second question, because Iago put it out there. You think we're getting Titanfall 3?
I don't know. I think Apex is just like their easy money right now. So I don't know. I would love to see a Titanfall 3, to be honest with you, especially with how Titanfall 2 ended.
You mean with people getting their accounts hacked and,
Yeah. That's not good. That's not good.
I don't think we deserve a Titanfall 3, to be honest.
We don't
All right, let's
deserve
not get
it.
self-masochistic here. All right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Those games never get their due. I don't know.
Right.
I think it's like probably a risk they don't need to take with where that studio is.
You know what's funny is I look back on them. I look back on them at like Halo 4 and Halo 5, where Titanfall 1 was like my favorite multiplayer game of that era, right? Like the multiplayer in Titanfall 1 was just remarkable. And I played it so much. And then Titanfall 2, I didn't care for the multiplayer as much because they kind of made it more like, for lack of a better phrase, Call of Duty. They put the lane model in, and I just didn't care for it. But the campaign is amazing. And it's God, just put those things together. Like we talk about with Halo 4 and 5, right? Great campaign, great multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Put them together.
It's very clear where their focus was in each game. And the first
game,
everybody was like, why didn't you put a campaign in this game? And they're like, all right, we'll give you a campaign if you want to play that. And then, the multiplayer.
Yeah.
But a lot of people actually that I know, I'm with you, Ains. I liked the first one's multiplayer than 2, but a lot of people I know, they loved 2's multiplayer. And I just saw them playing it like for years after, because that game had a lot of support on the multiplayer side afterwards. So
it had better like unlockables, right? It had better systems and stuff, but the actual core of the maps and like gameplay was far superior in 1, in my opinion.
I agree.
The progression was there. But no, I think 1 just played better for some reason. I'm not sure if
it gave you full freedom. That's the thing. When I played 2, and it was like, okay, I went right, and it's like then you're in the lane, because it is. They even talk about it in the documentary of Titanfall 2. Is they went to the Call of Duty 3-lane design, and I hate that. It's so limiting in what you can do in a multiplayer game.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if we got a Titanfall 3 anytime soon. I actually have a theory, and I wonder if you guys agree with me. I have a theory that the Xbox One PS4 generation will have the fewest original IPs that live long in the industry. It's just riddled with like franchises that tried to start up and like didn't go anywhere, like Rise Son of Rome, The Order 1886, like all of these franchises that like they tried to bootstrap and they just died during that generation. And I don't think there's going to be a whole lot that started that gen that like we see, get sequels upon sequels like we have from every other generation. That's my theory.
Interesting.
It's really weird. I can't think of that many. Like,
I'd have to look through. Like, it's hard to pull them off the top of my head. I'd have to look through, but. Funny enough, I'm one of those weirdos that wants a sequel to both Rise and Order. I like them both. They're not.
Oh my God, Order is so bad. I will debate you on this.
You didn't even let me finish. I was gonna say they're not fantastic by any stretch, but there's something there you can build upon. And I actually look at those games very similarly. Like they're not fantastic games, but if you gave them greater freedom in the world, right? Like built upon the lore and the freedom and gave it better gameplay in both. And like there's a core there that you could build upon.
Quantum Break, somebody said in the content, there's another one. I don't think we're ever going to get a sequel to that. That's like, dude, there's so many. Like if you look at it, you're like, they tried to start a new IP and they failed. And that's why everybody complains. There's so many sequels. We'll support new IPs then, because every time they make one, it just dies.
Like, well, that's like what we were talking about with Arcane, right? It's like they always come out with new art. And funny enough, you just said Quantum Break. Remedy's another one. They try new IPs, right?
They try it and it doesn't work out for them. Like,
doesn't work. Yeah. Quantum Break's an underappreciated game, in my opinion. I
agree.
I liked it. So we got another super chat to get to. Hassan's in the house.
Yeah, it's Hassan. $4.99 super chat. Word of the day: acquire.
Acquihire.
Acquihire. Is that how you say it?
There's those glasses again, Dan. We've talked about this.
Gosh. All right. Yeah. I thought it was contemporary, but I was way off. Way off.
Oh, man. Thank you, Hassan. Appreciate it, brother.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we'll see. Beast Mode over here saying, where you at, Beast? He said, Rise is coming back. Crytek Focus leak. We'll see. We'll see.
I wouldn't mind that. I actually agree with you on Rise. The Order 1886, I think you're insane. But the Rise, I actually think
I think Rise was a better overall game than Order. Yes. Sure. And Rise, most people don't realize, like, it looks like this Roman kind of just combat thing, which it is, but it actually had a good story. It really does,
surprisingly. Yeah. And I think, it's like, you're right. The gameplay is the worst part of the game, which, like, saying that in a sentence, you sound ridiculous because we're talking about video games. But like,
yes.
At least
it's very repetitive.
The Order 1886 had both problems: really bad gameplay and not a good story. Like, not at all a good story. It starts with you getting waterboarded for like 15 minutes. That scene lasts way too long. Go play that game. It's really bad.
Again, like, they didn't deliver, like, the vision of the stories better than what they told in the game, right? Like the whole werewolf thing and hunting, like, that's cool. They just didn't deliver it well.
Why are half of my PS4 memories me fighting like wolf creatures? Like the Order 1886 and what was that other game? Until Dawn. I was fighting like some wolf guys. Like, was that the gen of wolves?
Actually, that was. You're right.
There was lots of like wolf.
The gen of wolves.
The gen of wolves.
Yeah, because the 360 was like the gen of zombies. Like everything was a zombie, and I feel like we got wolves on the PS4 for some reason. Maybe that's why we don't have any long-lasting IPs from that. Nobody's into wolves, guys. Stay away.
I just realized Mo's going off about Order on you. The world needs to be explored. That's true. I do agree with that.
Dude, it needs
the whole Night of the Round Table take is awesome. I agree. The Order had a better one.
Cool in concept.
Boo this man. Boo this man.
Boo Metacritic. Go look at the Metacritic for that game and then come back here and try to boo me, because that game is,
like I said, it wasn't great, but there's something there.
It's a shooting gallery. You like how all the enemies are in between you and a divider, so you're just like shooting them. There's no three-dimensional like gears system where you're like maneuvering around them. It's just like duck head pops up and you go boom, and then the cardboard falls down.
It's like a Telltale game with shooting mechanics.
It really is. It's not.
That's
good.
why.
Except for you don't.
I'm sorry, Mo. Love you, but this ain't it. This ain't it, man.
That's wild.
Don't die on that hill.
Yeah.
There's better hills to die on, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, no. Rise also didn't have a good score, and I won't defend that game. You're not winning any points with me there.
All right, chat and anyone listening, and raise your hand. I can't see you, so that doesn't make sense, but type something. Who played Rise with Kinect? Come on. No one played Rise with Kinect?
Yeah. No, I think I did. Yeah.
Where you get to the scenes and you're like, fire!
Yeah.
I shoot all the arrows. Yeah.
Wow, I was into it. I kind of forgot the Kinect was in there.
Come on. I was into it, man. I was charging my generals down the field.
With the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, I also forgot that I used Kinect in Mass Effect 3. Remember the command system?
Yes, they did. Yes, it did.
Yeah, and that's totally gone in the Legendary Edition, but I thought of it when I was playing it.
There you go. A couple people did. See, Pampa said volley. There you go, volley. One of the funny about Kinect, a little anecdote is a couple of months ago, I put in Alien Isolation, and most people forget that not only supported Kinect, it actually did something wholly unique where it would listen to your room.
Yeah.
And if you made too much noise, the alien could find you faster.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Amazing. I actually think Kinect was ahead of its time. I'm a Kinect.
It was absolutely was.
I am.
No, I am too.
Because if you look at it now, like everybody's got the Alexa and the Google and the Siri, and like Kinect was doing that way before.
Absolutely, it was.
Now you got VR doing motion controls, and I kind of bemoan, like, I had a party a while back and just with some friends, and we ended up playing like Just Dance. And if you ever play that game, it just pales in comparison to Dance Central with the Kinect full body tracking. And I was like, dude, I kind of miss, like, this would be a perfect situation to play Dance Central. Instead, we're playing this game that only tracks one of your hands. Like, it's just so inferior to what we had. So
I used to work out to it. They had Xbox workouts.
Yeah, and then they canceled
that work out to it. Too. Yeah, they canceled the whole thing. I have achievements in that.
I think their fatal flaw was bundling it. Like, if they hadn't bundled it, I think Kinect probably would have survived.
Just like the 360. Like, and the bundling, I think, even would have worked if the technology was more where it is now. Right? They were too early, as usual. Microsoft is always too early with that kind of stuff.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true. All right, bunch of chats about it. Luke is saying Rise is genuinely bad. Dan is saying Rise was great. Boo that man.
Not a hot Rise.
I'm
hot Rise takes.
People have takes. Rise,
It is
son
kind
of
of funny.
Faith.
We still talk about Rise though. It's a 2013 game.
Yeah.
We still talking about
Because
it.
some morons compared it to God of War, and I was,
No,
that's what happened. That's why Rise came back, and all of a sudden it became this.
Okay.
Yeah,
everybody calm down. Okay?
Stop it.
I didn't even like the gameplay in God of War that much, but that's a crazy comparison to make. There's
Crazy comparison.
Yeah, that's not.
You
even...
could compare it to like Arkham, maybe. Like I could see
Maybe.
that because of like the rhythm, but it's still way like obviously Arkham games are great. So
Yeah.
if Rise had Arkham like combat, that would have been a really like landmark game. But it's gonna die with all the other IPs in that.
No, that's what I'm saying. Give it less monotonous combat. Like the combat was fun, but it was very repetitive, right?
Yeah.
And then it needs like they were too linear, in my opinion. Like give it branching kind of path, like God of War again. Like you've got where you can just kind of go to different areas and do your thing. Like yeah. Anyway, that was way more than I expected to talk about Rise today. I can tell you that much. I don't even know how we got onto Rise, but we're there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's going to wrap us up for today. It's been kind of a funny show. Like we said, we had some good and fun conversations, even though news wasn't the hottest this week. Next weekend, we'll see if we have Bitcast. I may be playing too much Halo to want to actually turn the camera on and talk to anyone. We'll see what happens. No, there'll be some Halo talk.
We'll
next
have
week.
to do it.
Yeah, there'll be some Halo talk. But stay tuned. We actually are going to do the week after next, not Bitcast, but we're going to do a special on, I believe, Thursday the 30th is what I said, I think. Yeah. Thursday the 30th, we're going to do a Halo roundtable again, a second Halo roundtable.
What time?
Not determined yet. To TBD.
Yeah. TBD.
So Jordan's going to join us. Mo's going to join us. All the Luke, Joe, a bunch of people, Pat again. So it should be fun. Travis, hopefully you can make it. We'll try and coordinate around
Fire super late.
Yeah,
that way I can go.
But it'll be good. We'll break down the flight, talk about big team and just everything about it. A lot of Halo love in the house here. So we'll be doing that soon. We've also got if you haven't checked out my Deathloop review, that's out there. You please check it out. I've got another statue coming this week. One of my favorite things in the world. It's like Christmas every time one arrives. So you'll see a video on that. We've got a couple new contributors that have joined Season Gaming as well. So we've got an article going up later today from Cap Aegis, who just joined officially on Friday. So please welcome him to the community if you haven't. We've probably got another person joining next week and a couple new articles from new contributors as well. So cool stuff to look out for on the site. And if you weren't aware, we did set up a Discord for Season Gaming as well. It's been out there for years. We just never did anything with it, but it's fully featured now, and a lot of good chats there on a daily basis. So between us and our friends over there at the Backlog Chronicles, a lot of good conversation on a daily basis. So check both of those out, please. All right, Jordan, man, always great chatting with you. Thanks for coming on today, dude. So where can people find you?
Yeah, Ains, thanks for having me, man. Good conversations. Yeah, if you guys are interested, you can find me on the Backlog Chronicles. I do a weekly show on Sunday evening. So tonight, 5 p.m. with my friends Mo, who's in the chat, and Kevin as well. But yeah.
Not going to call out Mike, are you? Just leaving Mike out?
He's not here in chat. He's not here in chat, but he's here somewhere.
He's here in our hearts.
That's right.
All right, man. Thanks again. Travis, what you up to? Destiny?
Yeah. If you want to hear me talk about Destiny, I do so every week, Thursdays from 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific. This week we have guest Paul Tassi, who I think we all just slandered on this show. So that's fine though. I fully endorse slandering Paul Tassi, and I will be sure to do so during this week's episode of The Last Word. So you can watch me there. You can read my articles, reviews, and previews on IGN.com. Last week I reviewed I'm Fish. This week I'm in process of reviewing Sable, and I also am previewing a game that I don't know if I could talk about because it's an unannounced thing. But yeah, that'll be up at some point as well. So you can find me there. You can follow me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis, and of course you can find me every week here on Bitcast with my friend Ains and this old Duck Dynasty guy who joins us for some reason.
That's me. 100% me.
And that
it's not fair to talk about Jordan that way, Travis.
That was my segue of handing it off to you, Dan, to talk about where people can't find you.
Yeah, I'm good.
Join
I'll see you
his
next week.
Deathloop game. You
Cool.
can find his gamer tag in our comments,
Yeah.
and please join in. Shoot at him, please.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll turn it on for 5 minutes and see what you guys can do. And I'm turning it right back off.
All right, guys. Thank you as always for joining us. It's been fun. We will see you next Sunday. Peace.
See ya.